Hey, and welcome to Vegan Steven's Food for All, where I show you the foods I cook in my vegan kitchen, and you should try them too, because it's good for you, your kids, their kids, and the earth. Today I want to show you how to prepare spring rolls. These are great for 3 reasons. 1. Regardless of your level of expertise in the kitchen, if you take your time to prepare and assemble these, they should turn out great. 2. They're really fun to prepare with family and friends and to enjoy alongside family and friends. And 3. They are incredibly versatile. You can throw whatever you want in these things and they should turn out delicious. You can also eat these any time of day, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So let's get started. First, rice paper wrappers. You can find these at almost any grocery store these days. We're going to end up soaking these in warm water and wrapping everything up inside of them. Next is bibb lettuce. This is going to provide a nice base for us to layer all of our other veggies on top of. Next up, we have 1 cucumber, some green onion, 3 small carrots, 3 optional jalapenos for some kick, 2 Asian or Korean pears. These are going to add some nice sweetness. You could substitute any type of pear or even apple. 1 red bell pepper, 1 package of mint. These spring rolls are all about freshness and the mint really brings it. Make sure you give that a good whiff. That's fantastic. And lastly, we'll need some rice noodles, a quick soak in warm water for 5 minutes, and these will be ready to go. Now these should really have some cilantro in there as well, but I forgot to buy that at the grocery store. I'm sorry.
I suck.
Now time for my favorite part, the prep. I'm prepping these earlier in the day and we'll be assembling them later this evening for dinner, so I like to have 2 to-go containers to the right of your screen to keep my ingredients in until I'm ready to assemble. First, take 3 green onions and lay them flat. Peel off any outer fibrous layers, discard those, lay them down, and cut these on a bias to make them look fancy into 1-inch segments. Once you're finished, place them in your to-go containers and continue. Next up are our carrots. First, we're going to top and tail these guys. Then we're going to turn them and slice them on a steep diagonal lengthwise into planks. Next, we'll lie those planks flat, press them down, and slice them down into matchsticks. I learned this quick technique for making matchsticks out of carrots from a YouTuber named Mang Chi. She makes phenomenal Korean food. You should really check her out. Once you've worked through those carrots, place them in your container, then proceed with your red bell pepper. Place the pepper upside down on your cutting board. Then slice down through the pepper, curving your blade to avoid the bitter pith inside of the pepper. Discard the core of the pepper, then go full-blown surgeon mode to remove any of the remaining pith. Lay these skin side down, then really go to town slicing them into matchsticks. Let them have it. It's a bad day to be a red bell pepper. Now the last segment of this bell pepper was a bit longer than the others, so I used the edge of my blade to cut thin slices along the upper and bottom portion, creating matchsticks that we can use. Finish chopping that pepper, place it in your to-go container, then proceed with our next ingredient, the Asian or Korean pear. Slice the pear from the outside in towards the core, making each circular slice about the width that you want your final matchstick to be. Once you have those slices, stack them up, then slice down through, finalizing your matchsticks. Be careful with the outer layer of the pear because the skin can be a bit slippery, so be sure to slice with the blade of your knife down through the pear as you complete each cut. Repeat this process, making your way around the pear until the entire pear is ready to go. Next up is our cucumber. First, we're going to top and tail this guy, then half it, then quarter it. Next, place each segment of cucumber vertically on your board and slice down through to create planks, working your way around the core of the cucumber just as we did with the Korean pear. Next, try awkwardly stacking these cucumber planks up and slicing down through them before realizing you could just Mang Chi these like you did with the carrot and it'll work a lot better. As I work through my cucumbers, I like to place them in water so they retain their moisture. Once the cucumber's all prepped, we're ready to move on to the jalapeno. Top and tail the peno, then roll the jalapeno as you slice around the seeds and ribs. Scrape out any remaining seeds and ribs, then slice into matchsticks. Repeat this process with the other 2 jalapenos until they're all set. Now the mint leaves. Remove the leaves from the stem, keeping the smaller leaves whole while tearing the medium and larger size leaves into smaller segments. This will allow us to more evenly distribute the mint flavor amongst the spring rolls. While I was tearing up these mint leaves, I had my rice noodles in a bowl. I poured hot water over top of them and let them rest for about 5 minutes. After those 5 minutes, I strained the rice noodles and poured cold water over top of them to stop the cooking process. And with that, our prep is complete. At this point, I take my to-go containers and place them in the refrigerator so that they're ready to go for later. I then like to take a freezer bag from my freezer full of vegetable scraps. I'll take whatever usable scraps I have from this prep and place them in there. In this particular prep, the only usable scraps I had were the white parts of my green onions, so I'm going to cut those into smaller pieces and place them in the freezer bag for later. In a later video, I'll show you how to make a really delicious, simple vegetable stock out of these vegetable scraps. Whoa there, almost forgot about our bibb lettuce, one of the most important ingredients in these spring rolls. We're going to take each leaf of this lettuce, break it off from the core. The bottom bits of these leaves tend to be a little bit bitter, so we're going to remove those, place the green parts of the leaves into some vegetable soaking water, give those a thorough rinse and a thorough dry, and they'll be ready to go. Now, no spring roll will be complete without a delicious dipping sauce. Our sauce is going to begin with a peanut butter base. We're going to add lime for freshness and acidity, some toasted sesame oil for general deliciousness, some warm water to thin the sauce out, some rice wine vinegar for acidity, soy sauce for depth of flavor and saltiness, and optionally some chili sauce. I have some sriracha here. I'm going to skip this because we added jalapenos to our spring rolls for some heat. Totally optional and up to you depending on your heat tolerance. So grab a mixing bowl and something to mix with. We're going to begin with our peanut butter and add about 3/4 of a cup. Now you can see here how gloopy and thick this peanut butter is. We're going to need to thin this out. To accomplish this, we're going to add a couple tablespoons of hot water here. The heat from the water as well as the wateriness of the water is going to thin out the peanut butter and allow us to more easily add in our other liquid ingredients. Now we will be adding other liquids to this sauce, so we're looking for just a little bit smoother of a peanut butter, nothing totally loose and liquidy quite yet. Now go in with about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, about 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, the juice of half a lime. Be thankful that your girlfriend realizes no one can actually see what you're doing, so she zooms in closer for you. Once the view is closer, regret using an orange bowl for a brown sauce because things aren't looking that aesthetically pleasing, but carry on anyways. At this point, you're going to taste your sauce as you go and adjust your ingredients as needed. This time around, I ended up adding the juice of another 1.5 limes, 2 tablespoons more soy sauce, 1 more teaspoon of sesame oil, and I realized the sauce needed a bit of sweetness, so I added about a tablespoon of good honey. Continue to adjust your sauce as needed, adding more water to thin the sauce out. If the sauce gets too thin at any point, just add a bit of peanut butter and it'll thicken back up. At the end, you're aiming for a consistency something like this, and you're all done. And alas, we're ready to assemble our spring rolls. Here's my setup. You'll notice the only things we've added are a large cutting board to finalize rolling the spring rolls. We also have a dish of warm water in your top right hand corner. That is to hydrate the rice paper wrappers so they're ready to roll up. And in the bottom right hand corner, some pickled daikon radish. I made this earlier this week. I saw it in the fridge and thought it might be a great addition to these spring rolls. In retrospect, the taste and flavor was a bit too assertive, so I would skip these next time. Now let's start assembling our final rolls. Step 1. Take 1 rice paper wrapper and dip it in that warm water for about 5 to 10 seconds. Now when you take this wrapper out of the water, it's still going to feel a bit firm, but that's fine. Trust me, over the course of the next 30 seconds or so, it will absorb that water and it will become much more pliable. We're going to lay that down on our cutting board and start loading it up with our ingredients. Now, the order of these ingredients doesn't matter so much except for the first one. So we're first going to go in with 1 or 2 pieces of our bibb lettuce. This is going to provide some nice structure and a good base layer for the rest of our ingredients. Next up, a small handful of our rice noodles, a few slices of the red bell pepper, a few slices of carrot, some green onion. Be careful here, green onion can be a bit assertive, so I'm only going with 2 pieces here. A couple slices of our Asian or Korean pear, some jalapeno. Be careful here depending on your heat tolerance. I went with just 2 slices. A couple pieces of our mint. And finally, some cucumber. Now to roll. Take one end of your rice paper wrapper and fold it all the way over all the vegetables. Then take each side and fold it in like a burrito. Once each side is folded in, complete your roll, keeping the entire package as tight as you can. Repeat this process until all of your ingredients are used up and you have a plate full of spring rolls. This is a great time to get friends or family involved to speed up the process. And that's it, a plate full of delicious spring rolls. I really hope you'll try these at home. It's a great dish for beginners and it looks and tastes super impressive. Be sure to subscribe below for more cooking videos. Thanks!